Welcome back to another review, this time for the anime The Water Magician, which had 12 episodes and was airing in summer of 2025. Synopsis from any list. Ryo is delighted to be reincarnated into the fantastical world of Phi, where he thinks he will get to live a quiet life learning to use his newfound water magic. Going with the flow here, however, means something very different. Ryo's immediately pitted against the wild lands he winds up in and the slew of deadly monsters that call the remote subcontinent home. You would think he would forget about taking it easy when he's stuck fighting for his life. But lucky for Ryo, he's naturally optimistic, clever, and blessed with the hidden youth trait. 20 years pass in the blink of an eye, and each encounter along the way pushes him one step closer to the pinnacle of human magic. Little does he realize that's only the opening chapter of his tale. A fateful meeting soon thrusts Ryo to the forefront of history, forever changing the course of his life. Thus begins the adventures of the strongest water magician the world has ever seen, who also likes to do things at his own pace. That was a long synopsis. However, as you see, it is an isekai. Now, this one takes an approach to some parts of the story that I like. However, we start with more or less a speedrun to getting strong in magic. Now, the first episode or maybe first two are like the growth and training. He's getting reincarnated, he's in a remote place, he's training for like a couple years. I do not remember them telling us how long, but they do show us that time is passing pretty quickly. Now, he also trains in sword fighting, which is somewhat of a problem I have with the show, but sure. Now, the reason we go and leave the remote place is that we are meeting a new companion, and that companion wants to go home. So Ryo, as a nice guy, he is offering to more or less guard and accompany them back home. This is where we find a little bit more about the world and where exactly we are, why everything is dangerous where Ryo lives. And generally the story, I would say, starts. Now, one of the main aspects I like is that the new companion, he's called Abel, whatever. And he is part of an adventurer group. We get into the city where he's normally from, and we get to find out he's pretty famous in the city. Everyone likes him. He's one of the strongest people, or his group is one of the strongest parties in that little city. And generally, he's liked. He has like a connection to the guild master or the master of the adventurers guild, one of the two. He is pretty high up there. And you know, this seems like a standard in isekai stories. However, he is B rank. Now, you would have assumed he would be A rank, S rank, he would be the top of the top. No, he's B rank. He's still very high up. You start at F, but he is not A. He's just B. He's just good. He's good at his job, and his party is good at what they do, but they are not really the end of everything and goal, which means that we have some room to grow, at least in the power rating wise here. And I do like that. I like that we do not just get to see the top of people. We don't get to see A ranks, S ranks, and we have no real way to go up unless we just say, yeah, they are S rank, but the other ones are SS rank, or they are just stronger S ranks, even though they are like double or triple the strength, which makes the rating system not really matter as much. Here, we have a B rank, and we know Ryo is stronger than Abel. So we can assume he would be like an A rank, maybe S rank. However, we don't know because we only have the B rank to measure against. I do like that approach. Additionally, a lot of the story, or not a lot, but a good amount of the story is not really centered around Ryo, the water magician. It is centered around some of the other people that are in his vicinity. Now in this new city there's also a dungeon, and you go into the dungeon to collect materials and whatnot. And we see some of the other characters, how they would, go into the dungeon, how this is handled in this world. There's like a guild, and this guild has more or less training. They have like little courses you can join, in which they train and teach you how to go into the dungeon, what you need to do, what you need to be careful of, what materials you should bring or equipment. It's like a school, more or less, for adventuring, which is also nice. And there we get to see a little bit what a lower rank adventurer is capable of. There naturally is more to the dungeon and the system, and there are also more, you can say, antagonists in the story. Also, we meet another important character in the city, which got hinted at before. We don't know if that is the person they hinted at, but I am assuming it is. All in all, these aspects I do like. I like that we did not get to see like the high ranking people, like A or S rank. It seems like even B rank are highly valued, which is also nice to see. In most shows that have like these rankings, B rank is like eh, and only A rank or up are important. In here, the B rank is already like a celebrity. People are, relying on those. And A rank would be even more of a celebrity, and S rank would be like a mythical being, essentially. At least it feels a little bit like that. Now the story is fine. Again, there are some parts with the dungeon that we get a little bit of a school. We get to see some low-ranking adventurers. We get to find out more about Abel and his crew. There's some interesting stuff here. However, overall, there's not much else going on. The biggest problem is Ryo. Now, he is very good at magic because he trained, and I do not like OP characters from the get-go because we don't really have a growth spectrum. It's just, okay, you are no broken OP, and it's like we can't really go from here to anywhere unless we just say, okay, you are now trying to be godlike. A lot of these shows rush the development in their ability too much. Now, Ryo has an additional problem. He's also very good at sword fighting. Meaning, he's good at magic, he's good at sword fighting, meaning he's good at range and good at melee. He doesn't have a weakness, essentially. There's some other stuff that was going on, which is like, not only was he OP, he trained, his sword training was under like a mythical creature. He saw a dragon that didn't kill him, and he was able to talk to him. And it's like, he is able to do magic stuff that seemingly no one can do, which we just have the problem, we have an OP character. He can be likable. you can like him, you can be like, oh, he's a nice character, but we can't really grow. And if our power can't grow, we need to have something else interesting going on with the character. However, character-wise, he is not growing either. He's just doing his own thing. He's not really changing much, which means that the character itself, apart from like the first 1 or 2 episodes, is not really growing over the season, which is just not really what you want from a main character. You want the main character to grow in some way. If he's broken OP, then make his personality questionable and then have his personality grow. If his personality is good, then make his ability a little bit weak and let the ability grow. Some growth is good in these shows. There are some other parts at the end which I really did not like. Animation also seems like it took quite a downturn in the later episodes, which was not that nice. They did try. It's not like they just had awful animation. It felt like there was not enough time or budget to put into all the animation. So they focused on some of them on some of the animation and left the rest a little bit barren. I am probably going to talk about some other spoiler stuff later, but that is after ratings. First, let's see a little bit of the earlier animation. Here we have a little bit of a fight.
ちょっと近くの一帯に仕掛けてみる。亮はここにいろ。闘技完全貫通。ダメだ、修復しやがれ。ちょっと試してみたい攻撃があるので、それをやってみていいですか？任せる。それでは、アイスウォール、ジェスト。
There you go. And there you already saw some parts were pretty nice, some maybe not, but overall, some nice touches. The grow back from the stone, pretty nice. The big, it didn't really look like a ton of ice walls stacked on top. It looked like a big ice cube. However, that seemed pretty good. Later on, it goes into a little bit more of a fine, in my opinion. And it is a little bit sad. Because I could have seen some very good coming out of the show. But overall, it feels a little bit too much standard isekai fare. Not enough, hey, we're going to do our own little isekai. It feels safe. They just try to do some parts that are new, and the rest they try to follow what is more or less successful. AniList has it at 69%. Nice. My anime list 7.13. I would say this was a 7 out of 10. It could have been an 8. Depending on the later development, but I really dislike the later parts. So, for me, 7 out of 10 is fine. It's fine, it's not bad. It's better than a lot of other isekai shows. However, a little bit too safe in some regards for me. And I do not see any growth that we can or could enjoy in the show. Now, I do want to talk about some later parts, but this is going to be spoiler, so spoiler warning. Later on, we have a little bit of an international incident. So we see some royalty and they get attacked. So this seems like there was an attack planned for quite a while and they wanted to attack that royalty. Why? We have no idea. No idea. Now, do we need to know? Not really. The prince and princess get attacked. Maybe someone of their own family wants to kill them so they can get on the throne. Maybe another country wants to get rid of them. Whatever the case, they get attacked. Now, the attack itself is super weird. So we have these two royalty, prince and princess, in like this is in like a little villa with a bunch of other nobles and important people, and there's zero security. The only security they have is like a big wind wall that is made through a magic item that got manipulated. Bam, it's down. They now get attacked. Seemingly there are no guards, or not enough, because the whole garden is full. There are like at least 20 people, 20 important people, and there are no guards. No one at all. Which is stupid already. There are really no guards. I mean, you can have guards outside the windshield. So, you know, in case something happens. Now we get attacked. A bunch of fireballs rain down. Who is attacking with these fireballs? It seemed like there are a lot of magic users. And then we have a lot of more or less close range sword users that come in. And it's like, how is this all happening? Where are all the guards? All of these people should have some kind of protection outside. It felt so weird and stupid, especially later, a little bit later, the princess. The princess is pretty strong. She's shown as she's good at magic. She's good at sword fighting. That is why she's like a commander of a unit. And we see her more or less dispatching someone, the same with the prince. Now the prince got injured, okay, in that attack, in that surprise attack. The princess did not. And she's unable to just get rid of all the people. There were like 4. And she was able to dispatch of one of them really easily. Which is like, why? And the whole part, the question is also, why are they killing everyone? Okay, maybe they don't know who the princess is, even though seemingly the royalty all have red hair. So it's not that hard to identify. And it just felt really weird because the whole point is that the princess then gets attacked, she gets thrown away because her lieutenant, the guy under her, is a very famous fire mage. He's very strong. So that we have this forced fight between him and Rio, the water mage. So we have this epic fight, fire mage, water mage. Both of them are good at their mage, fire and water, at their magic. And both of them are able to do sword fighting. It's like, why is there another Rio, but just fire? Is that really necessary? Do we need 2 OP characters? Because Rio at this point already fought like a demon or devil or both, I believe even, and she just got rid of them. There was like a demon king 8 or one of the demon king generals bullshit, whatever isekai stuff, and he was just playing with him and instantly killing him. Now there's a human that is on par with him, so we have 2 humans that are able to just get rid of these guys. There's not really any opposition. In most isekai stories, it would be like, because you want to have this growth, this defeat, shonen battle thing, that the demons are always stronger than the humans. So, and it is shown that they mop the floor with everyone else. There's the king's guard. I believe it was a king, as far as I remember. A lot of important people, and that is before, not the attack on the villa, but in the previous episode, a lot of important people got just annihilated by these demons, and Ryo comes in and mops the floor with them. And now, later on, he has another human who's as strong as he is. Which is like, why? Why do we have 2 OP characters now just to pull another OP demon out of our Ares because we need someone to fight against at some point? It is just weird, especially the forced fight, because the lieutenant, he's trying to follow the princess that got attacked. The princess is then more or less picked up by the friends of Ryo. Now the lieutenant, he naturally sees these guys that have the princess, and he's assuming that those are the attackers, which initially I could understand, because you are like in, high octane, you are under a lot of pressure, you want to rescue the princess, you are not thinking clearly, you attack them, they defend. You then have a second, because they do not counterattack, they just defend, to maybe survey a little bit, because everyone else that attacks the villa and the whole party, they all have, thieves' garbs, more or less. They are fully not mummified, but they are, they have a hood, they have like a mask. You can't really tell who they are. Meanwhile, with the princess are 3 young dudes you can clearly identify. They do not have a uniform. They all look different. It does not feel like they would be some of the attackers. Additionally, these 3 guys got rid of 2 attackers that already are bleeding on the ground on that area, and our guy is just ignoring them. Which is like... I mean, again, the initial attack, fine, but after that you should probably see, hey, some of these attackers got taken out. Maybe try to identify who these guys are. Are they attackers? Are they people you need to get rid of? Now, naturally, Ryo comes in. He's, quote-unquote, saving his friends. His friends are injured. So Ryo is mad. And because Ryo is mad, his decision is, after Abel comes and is like, hey, you are not enemies, you don't need to fight. Ryo's answer to that is that he's going to kill the other guy because he injured his friends, which is like, excuse me, a little bit too far, just a tiny bit. I can understand, hey, you are mad, you fight against him, you try to test him, which already is like bullshit, because he's like, oh, this is all you can do. Meanwhile, he's unable to really defeat him. Maybe he didn't go all out, who fucking cares? The whole fight is already stupid, but it's like, you just got told that this whole fight against this guy is more or less a misunderstanding. Naturally, he did hurt your friends, but your answer to someone hurting your friends, not killing, hurting your friends, is to kill them? That is a fucking stupid idea. I mean, injuring him, okay. You are like, hey, I'm mad, I want him to pay a little bit, sure. Killing him is far too far. It just feels far too stupid. And we also see a little bit of the background of the lieutenant, which is also very strange, because in one of his backgrounds, he's in a village. The village has like, I don't know how many people, we don't really got to see. They have like a palisade, which is a pretty strong defense. Now bandits attack. 50 bandits attack. Now in that attack, they initially kill a lot of these bandits, like 5, maybe 10, which is like, why are the bandits attacking? This is just a very stupid way for a group to attack, because you attack a village that is defended with a palisade, which is not easy to get around. And instead of just attacking a village that has no defense, it makes like very little sense. Naturally, we have like one of the guys can just jump over the palisade, which is like, okay, if someone was able to just jump over the palisade, you would not have a palisade. You would have something else, because it doesn't make sense. If people are in this world that can just jump over your defense, because that is the whole point, that people cannot jump over your defense. That is why you don't have like a normal fence, you have a palisade. Very stupid. Later on, it is shown that, you know, he's getting attacked again, this time in some noble's villa, which has knights coming, and in that attack they have to retreat because the knights are approaching. It's like, why are you attacking them then? If knights can react that quickly. It is just so weird, some of these plot points. You could have done this a lot more differently. There are a lot more options you could pursue. Now, you can just say I'm a hater, but some of these parts are really hurting my enjoyment for the show. Especially that the biggest part is really that we got like a water mage but fire. Which is why I don't even remember. This is sadly one of the parts. I don't remember, did he get any real buffs by reincarnating? I know he got the Eternal Youth trait, but did he get anything else? And until that point, there was some okay stuff. We saw the elf. Now the elf is somewhat older, and we got told that, in the show at least, that there is some other reincarnated that brought all these Japanese things into the world, and that one is supposedly an elf. You know, probably that this elf is the other reincarnated, which could be good, and she is a lot more reclusive. We don't really know much about her because we do spend a lot of time with other people, which is not bad. It is just sadly a lot of stuff that I did not like.